Hey guys, Kyle, the Death Knight of Anime here, bringing you my review for Fire Force Season 2, Episode 16. And I'm just right off the bat, I'll say I'm sorry this one's late, guys. I was entertaining, so yeah. But okay, jumping right out of the gate. One thing I want to talk about with this episode is the pacing, because of everything that I think has improved since the start of Season 2. It has been just how much more efficiently I think David Productions has been managing its time in these episodes. I mean, I know it's something that might be common. I know that for anyone who's been kept up to the anime at this point, it might be a little common knowledge that the pacing is probably is a lot better than Fire Force Season 1. But I feel this episode, it really showed the better pacing really showed just from the fact that in the first 4 minutes they basically adapted an entire chapter. And while this could easily create an argument for the pacing being too fast, I feel it does kind of add the I feel it does it basically adds a very interesting dynamic to this particular arc, in the sense that every action and decision is really on a time crunch, while at the same time reinforcing just pretty much how much the Haijima Corporation and Fire Force are really kind of helping the White-Clad by fighting each other. Like in the first chunk of this episode, it was really just Hajime. It was pretty much like the Hajime Corporation member fighters and um and Fire Force and Company 8 just kind of bickering with each other, and they weren't really doing anything in order to actually prevent, like pretty much Hajime, in order to prevent the White-Clad, in order keeping pretty much Nutaku out of the White-Clad's possession. Like they were, in fact, just by arguing with each other, they were really just kind of they were making it easier, for, if nothing else, for the White-Clad. Um, but also, and at the same time, it also reinforced what I was saying last week's episode, about how one thing that also kind of was reinforced with this episode is just how our heroes are being forced up against the wall, even if a large chunk of it is because they're fighting. So yeah, but yeah, the main thing here is that, yeah, it's just showcased just how much they were kind of getting in each other's way and not really working together as much as they could be. Um, One thing I kind of also appreciate about this episode is how it really dug a little deep in some ways into the morality, and just how much into the morality of the Hajime Corporation's experiments on pretty much Nutaku, and just how much that their experiments have not only affected his mental state, and just how much he's been mentally tortured and broken. But at the same time, it also but by focusing on that, it also showed just how much the morality of the Hajime Corporation has played a part in what's gotten us into this current predicament to begin with. Because whether or not because when it comes to, well, pretty much Nutaku, whether or not he was always going to be the sixth pillar, it is something that remains is a fact that kind of remains to be seen. But at the same time, if it wasn't for Rekka's actions, followed by Hajime's hubris in trying to gain control of the Adolaverse, like, collectively, these two things are are what's what's caused are in some way what's caused this, what basically causes us to ask the question, while debatable as to whether or not it was unavoidable, could this whole situation in itself could have gone down a very different route, and maybe by not rushing the awakening of the sixth pillar, the Company 8 could have also used that as a means to, well, better could have also used this as a means in order to better, well, not only protect, well, pretty much Nutaku, but also trap the White-Clad. But because Hajime was blinded by their fill with Shinra, and allowed themselves to be consumed by their hubris, it's not only allowed the current situation and given the pieces necessary for the White-Clad to take control of this whole situation as we see with them creating that golem, but in a small virtue of the White-Clad, like from just needing from just needing the people who are considered pillars, and them, and by seeing basically, so even by seeing and by seeing Chiron even protecting Shinra, it has given the White-Clad the slight moral high ground here, despite them still being like cultish anarchists. Like this whole episode, it really showed like honestly just how like just from how from morally how just morally freaking wrong that Haijima Corporation was when you make the White-Clad kind of look a little bit better by comparison, just a little, but still better. I'm not gonna lie. Um, and yeah, obviously we need to talk about Arthur in this episode because never before in any series has a single moment for a character been so epic, yet at the same time the most hilarious thing I've ever seen in my life in anime. I mean, don't get me wrong. The way Arthur basically fucked things up had fucked things up for pretty much Hamea is amazing. And it honestly, if it honestly wasn't for him, then I don't think that the Yates Oprams could have even gained the upper hand that they did in this episode. But at the same time, the lengths to which Vulcan had to go to in order to convince Arthur made me laugh so hard. And the comedic effect created from this was hilarious. Like everything right, like it's if you look at this whole situation, everything right now hinges on Arthur's power, which can only be kept in check by Vulcan pretty much feeding into his ego. Like everything at this point, it depends on Arthur's ability to pretty much on Arthur's ability in order to maintain control of his power of Excalibur. And it's like, yeah, it's freaking hilarious to see all of this play out. Like Arthur, like like just feeding into that ego of Arthur like being the greatest knight after this. It's like it's the one thing that's keeping hope alive right now. And I kind of and again, it's epic to see Arthur have this moment. But again, it's also kind of hilarious when you look at the implications of what's happening here. Like it really is. Um, and yeah, I and part of I just love seeing like Vulcan's annoyance, honestly. Um, now, please go ahead and correct me if I'm now this is something I don't know if it's actually like now this next thing I'm gonna discuss. I don't know if it's just me or if anyone else noticed this. If you have, please let me know. Like I genuinely want to know this, but. But for as great as the episode itself was, it did feel like the animation was very limited. I mean, character models and all that looked fine, so art was more or less great in this episode. But when it came to animation specifically, I feel like the way the characters moved and interacted didn't really look as fluent as it has in past episodes. Again, maybe it's just me, but with this episode in particular, it did feel like there was an overall lack of energy in this episode, and movement was basically used very sparingly to the point where it looked that there were moments where it did. I don't want to say it looked choppy, but it did feel like there were like they kind of like they were saving on a budget, so like they're saving on a budget, so they pretty much tried to make so they tried to make it so they tried to like compensate it in a way where they might have where they just kind of skip a frame or something like that, or yeah, something just I don't know, something overall just didn't feel as fluent or cohesive with the animation this week. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm barking up a wrong tree here, but yeah, something just didn't feel right. Um, but yeah, guys. But anyway, that's all I got for this review, guys. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Crunchyroll. Dead Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, guys.